Okay, this video is a little deviation from my normal videos, which are bathroom renovations and building showers and things like that. I'm actually doing some flooring work in here on a concrete slab. So the customer wants it on a diagonal, and the point of the video is to kind of show the process of doing diagonal floor tile. There are a lot of other tilers out there that even if I wasn't doing a diagonal, for example, if I were doing just straight tile, that would start at certain places. They're doing their math and they're figuring out, you know, length and the width and this and that and da-da-da, and trying to get the tile exactly where they want it, and it gets very convoluted and very complicated. And I personally never do that. What I do normally is I find the doorway that's used the most, which in this case, this is a long kitchen. So this is the dining room of the kitchen, and that's a garage door, and then the whole kitchen dining room ends back in the laundry room. So what I normally do is I'll do my first tile right here, and I'll center it up. So my first tile will be center here, and then cut and cut, and it goes backwards like that. Or if the customer prefers, and I'll do a full piece right over here, and then just kind of bring it out to this area. So if you have any cuts, they're back here in the cabinet area. But again, you can do the math to figure out your exact square and all that stuff if you want to. It's just something that I never do, unless I'm doing a diagonal. Now if I'm doing a diagonal, then I start in the largest area of the room, and I usually find the square. In this one, it's a little more difficult finding the square because there's so many rooms involved. But I'm going to show you the process in just a minute. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is, in order to find your square, you're going to go, as I said, this room is a little weird because you got a laundry room and a pantry over here, and it wraps around the cabinet into the kitchen, and there's a lot of areas that aren't going to be square necessarily, but you try the best you can. And so I go from this baseboard over here to this baseboard. Then you have a sliding glass door, which, you know, is inset, and you can't really measure that, but I'll make a mark wherever my middle mark is between those two baseboards is there. Then my next baseboard that I can actually do a measurement is right there to over here. Then I'll do a little mark over there. Now I know exactly that this is center of the room, and I'll do the same thing. And in this case, because everything's a little different, I'm using the cabinet over here, and the cabinet only goes so far. There's nothing else here to measure that's the same size. So the cabinet becomes my point, and then this baseboard over there becomes my point. Once I know that mark, let's say that's, you know, 100 inches, for example, and this is 50, then my 50 inches just comes over off of this baseboard, and 50, and so then I just do another line down here. So my center mark ends up being right there. That's where my first tile is going to go. And the first tile, let me see, the first tile is kind of my keystone tile for everything else. So when I lay this tile down, all four of these marks are going to match up with all four of these corners, and it didn't take much to adjust it right there. The math worked out pretty well the way I wrote it. So each one of those corners has a pencil mark lined up to it, and that is my first tile. That gets set first before anything, and in an ideal world I would set that and let it dry, so that as I push up against it with other tile or spacers or whatever, then I'm not moving this at all. But you can still do it the way I'm going to do it without having to let that dry, but ideally let that dry first. That way you kind of work off of each side. And then, you know, you go and just pick a direction. You go in that direction, and do your fill-ins, or, you know, that direction doesn't really matter. Or you could do two directions and do your fill-ins. And this makes it easy to where you don't really back yourself in the corner until you get to these doorways, and then you got to stop. And so that's basically how to center up your first tile on a diagonal. And I'll show some diagonal cuts as well when I get to that.